This video will show how to recalibrate the encoder on an L-series mount. The first thing to do is to locate the panel with the L-mount serial number on it and remove the panel that's located next to it to expose the main electronics board. At the top of the board, you'll see two buttons labeled altitude encoder calibration and azimuth encoder calibration. These are the buttons that you can use to perform various calibration steps on the encoders. And in this example, we'll be showing how to calibrate the azimuth encoder. But if you ever need to check the altitude encoder, you can do that by looking at behind this panel up here. The next thing to do is to remove the side panels from the azimuth motor. Some mounts may have a locking pin bracket installed as well that you'll need to remove to get out of the way. So once those are off, you can see the inside of the motor, and we want to locate the encoder read head on this motor. In this case, you take the side facing you with the serial number plate and come 90 degrees over in this direction, and the read head is right there. You can see the blue status LED on there, which shows normal operation. If everything is working properly, that light should remain blue throughout the entire range of motion, except when you cross what's called the index mark. And at that position, you'll see it flash once every time you cross that position. That's used as part of the homing sequence to tell the mount where it's pointing at startup. On most mounts, the index mark will be at the position where the plate with the serial number is facing in the same direction as the notch at the base of the azimuth motor. Now, if you ever find that the index mark is not reading out correctly and homing is failing as a result, the easiest way to recalibrate the index mark is to press the calibration button up here for about half a second. Just press, hold, and release, and you'll see that the light on the read head is now flashing about once per second. Move the axis by hand until you see the encoder flashing twice every second, and then go back and cross the index mark. You may need to go back and forth a few times, but when it's solid red or solid blue, that's when you know that it's calibrated. And then you can check it by going back and forth over that index position a few times and making sure that it flashes each time. You do want to start away from the index mark position when you're doing this calibration, just so that the index mark itself doesn't mess up the first step of calibration. So I usually recommend rotating about 45 degrees or more away from the index mark position. And again, we'll just press that for about half a second. We see the light flashing about once per second. As we move, it goes to flash twice per second, and then we cross the index mark. And now it's solid. Okay. If you have a more severe problem with your encoder, like if it's losing counts and needs to be readjusted, the way you do that is you first turn off your mount, which I'll do by unplugging it here. And then you hold down the calibration button while you power the mount back up. So let me hold this down, turn the power back on, and then release. And now, if we look at the status LED, we see it flashing green. The better that the adjustment is on the read head, between the read head and the encoder ring, which you can see back here, the faster this green light will be flashing. If you completely lose your signal, this will turn orange or red, and the stronger the signal is, the faster the green light will be flashing. You want to check that over the entire range of motion and just look for any spots where the light is turning red or where maybe it's flashing very slowly. And then you can do some internal adjustments to adjust the spacing of that. Once you're happy with the adjustment, you go back into calibration mode by turning the mount off and back on. And now you're back in that blue single flashing mode. Move a little bit, you get into double flashing mode, go past the index mark, back and forth a few times, and now you're back at solid blue, and everything should be working. There's that single flash as we go past the index mark again. And those are the ways that you can recalibrate your encoder.